Marry my sister without legs, she can't walk out on you. Practical alien girl. Ethan stood at the edge of the alien trade station, watching ships arrive and leave like silent ghosts. The station floated in deep space, far from Earth and far from anything familiar. Humans were rare here, and when they appeared, other species watched them with fear and curiosity. Ethan had come for work, not adventure. He was tired, hungry, and almost out of credits. His ship was old, his clothes were worn, and his future felt empty. The station was filled with strange sounds. Soft lights and alien languages. Tall beings with metal skin passed by without looking at him. Small floating creatures whispered to each other as they moved. Ethan tried to stay invisible. He knew humans had a bad reputation. They were known as emotional, violent, and impossible to control. He finally found a public hiring platform. Ethan stepped forward, hoping for any simple job. Cleaning, loading cargo, guarding doors, anything would be enough. Before he could speak, a sharp voice cut through the noise. "Human," the voice said clearly. The entire platform went quiet. Ethan turned and saw an alien woman standing behind him. She had pale blue skin, long silver eyes, and a posture full of control. She wore simple clothing, but her presence felt powerful. People around them stopped moving. Some aliens stepped back, others watched with interest. The alien woman studied Ethan like a machine checking broken parts. Then she spoke words that froze the air. "Marry my sister without legs. She cannot walk out on you." The silence became heavy. Ethan felt his heart pound in his chest. For a moment, he thought he misunderstood her. He laughed nervously, thinking it was a cruel joke. But the alien woman did not smile. Her face showed no emotion at all. "What?" Ethan asked slowly. The alien woman repeated herself. "Calm and cold. This is a practical offer." Whispers spread across the platform. Some aliens looked shocked. Others nodded like this made sense to them. Ethan felt anger rise inside him. He thought this was an insult. Not just to him, but to the unseen sister. The alien woman explained her logic without hesitation. Her species believed relationships always failed. Love was unstable, emotional, and dangerous. "A partner who cannot leave ensures long-term stability," she said. "Our data supports this." Ethan clenched his fists, trying to stay calm. He told her he was not property. He told her marriage was not a contract of control. Humans did not think this way. The alien woman tilted her head slightly. "Exactly," she replied. "That is why you are suitable." Before Ethan could respond, a transport chair rolled forward. A second alien woman sat upon it. She was smaller, thinner, and clearly injured. Her legs were missing below the knee, but her back was straight, and her eyes burned with intelligence. This was the sister. Her name was Kaela. Though Ethan did not know it yet, she watched him closely. Not with fear, but with judgment. Unlike the first sister, Kaela showed emotion. There was anger, pain, and something like defiance in her eyes. She was not silent because she was weak. Ethan felt something twist inside his chest. This was not a broken person. This was someone trapped by her own people. The crowd expected Ethan to reject her immediately. They waited for the human to explode or walk away. That was what humans were known for. Kaela spoke first, her voice steady. "If you refuse, I will understand. But know this. I refuse to be owned." Her words surprised everyone. The first sister frowned slightly. This was not part of her plan. Ethan looked between the two sisters. He saw logic in one and quiet fire in the other. He realized this offer was not about marriage. It was about control, and about removing a problem from alien society. Something dark moved beneath the surface of this station. Ethan felt it clearly. This was bigger than a job or a relationship. For the first time since leaving Earth, Ethan did not feel lost. He felt challenged. The story of this strange proposal began to spread across the station. Eyes followed Ethan wherever he moved. The galaxy was watching how a human would respond. And as Ethan met Kaela's gaze, he understood one thing clearly. Whatever choice he made next would change both their lives forever. Kaela sat in her transport chair as the crowd slowly moved away. Her eyes never left Ethan, watching every flicker of emotion. She was quiet, but inside her mind, a storm was growing. Her sister, the pale blue alien, expected Ethan to panic, to reject the offer. But he did not. He only stared, trying to understand her and Kaela both. The alien station was alive with whispers. Traders stopped their work. Watchers hovered silently. Every being knew something unusual was happening. Humans were unpredictable, and this one was already breaking their rules. Kaela finally spoke, her voice low but firm. "You do not know what you are stepping into," Ethan nodded slowly. "I know enough to see you are not weak," he said. Her eyes narrowed, suspicion flashing briefly. Most humans would have run, insulted, or laughed. He did neither. Her sister, still standing, frowned. "Do not be foolish, human," she said. "You will fail." Kaela ignored her. She had already made her own rules. She would not be treated like property. Ethan learned more about Kaela as the first night fell over the station. He discovered that she had lost her legs in a war caused by political betrayal. Her home planet had been invaded, and she had been left behind, almost forgotten. But Kaela's mind had never been broken. She had learned to live with her injury, to think clearly, to survive even without her legs. She moved her chair with incredible skill. She was faster than many able-bodied beings. Ethan realized that the alien's idea of weakness was wrong. Kaela was strong, smarter than anyone in that room, and she was testing him carefully. Every word he spoke was measured, analyzed, and judged. The station became dangerous that night, not because of war or pirates, but because the Alien Council had noticed Ethan. They watched quietly, debating whether to remove him before he caused trouble. The Council believed humans were dangerous when they bonded with aliens. They were emotional, reckless, and unpredictable, Kaela whispered to Ethan. "They will try to use you. You must be careful." Ethan nodded, but he did not feel fear. Only determination. Over the next few days, Ethan learned the alien ways. He watched how the Council manipulated people, how the first sister tried to control Kaela through fear and logic. Kaela, however, resisted. She refused to accept their rules blindly. Ethan started talking to her secretly, not about the marriage, not about orders, but about humans, about freedom, about choice. Kaela listened with quiet fascination. She had studied humans from afar, but never spoken to one so openly. Ethan shared stories of Earth, of survival, of love, of persistence. Kaela began to see a new kind of strength, not one measured in metal or control, but one measured in courage and heart. Suspense grew because the Alien Council became aware of their secret meetings. They sent watchers, monitors, and even enforcers to check on them. Kaela knew that if they were discovered, Ethan would be blamed, and humans might be punished one evening. As they spoke in the shadows of the station, Kaela revealed a truth. Her sister's offer had never been about love. It had been about removing her as a problem. The Council wanted Ethan to fail, to prove that humans were weak, careless, and unworthy. Ethan's heart sank. He realized that accepting this marriage was a trap, a deadly one, but instead of leaving, he chose to stay. Kaela studied him carefully. "You are not like the others," she whispered. Ethan smiled faintly. "I do not abandon people," he said, "and I will not abandon you." The next day, the Council made their move. They called Ethan to a formal chamber. The first sister stood beside him, smiling slightly. The Council demanded he leave Kaela or face exile. They claimed the human was a threat to their order, and if he stayed, chaos would follow. Ethan listened quietly, then he spoke with calm strength. "I will not leave her," he said. "You cannot force a human to abandon their choice." The Council was shocked. They had never seen such bold defiance. Kaela watched silently, a mixture of fear and hope in her eyes. Ethan had chosen her not because of the rules, not because of fear, but because he wanted to. As the Council deliberated, Kaela realized something about herself. She had always thought her injury made her weak, but now she saw that strength came from within, from choosing to fight, from choosing to trust, from refusing to be a pawn. That night, Kaela and Ethan prepared for the Council's decision. Every shadow seemed heavier, every sound more dangerous. The station felt like it could collapse at any moment, but Kaela felt a spark she had never felt before. Human courage, human loyalty, human heart. She understood that she had found a true ally, not someone who would control her, but someone who would fight alongside her, and so the stage was set. Suspense hung over the station like a storm. The council would act soon, and Ethan and Kaela's choices would decide the fate of more than just their lives. The alien council watched Ethan and Kaela closely. Every day they tested him. Tried to break him, but Ethan did not break. Instead he observed, learned, and planned. Kaela had started to move differently around him, not just in her chair, but in her mind. Her silence became a shield, her eyes sharpened like a weapon. She was learning human defiance, and it scared the aliens more than any battle could. Ethan realized that the council did not understand humans. They saw humans as weak, driven only by emotion. But humans were dangerous because they cared. They risked everything for people they trusted, for people they chose. Late at night, when the station was quiet, Ethan worked secretly in the cargo bay. He modified old exo-technology. Ancient human designs long thought lost. Kaela watched, fascinated, as he built devices that allowed her to move faster, not legs, but mobility and independence. The council had assumed she was trapped forever. They had assumed humans would simply obey their rules. They were wrong. Rumors spread across the station. Other aliens whispered about the human who refused to leave, about the sister without legs who began moving with speed and precision. Some aliens started to admire her quietly, but most feared the consequences. The council finally confronted Ethan. They summoned him to the central chamber. The walls were metallic, echoing. The air smelled sharp. Every step he took felt like walking into a trap. The first sister, standing at the side, smiled faintly. She believed the human would crumble. The council spoke. "Human, you have interfered with our plans. You have given strength to the weak. You have disrupted order." Ethan listened quietly. Then he spoke, his voice steady. "I have done nothing wrong," he said. "I have treated her as a person, not as property," the council gasped. No human had ever spoken this way. Kaela moved forward in her chair. She had no fear. She spoke clearly. "I am not weak. I will not be controlled. If you punish him, you punish me." A silence filled the chamber. Even the first sister looked uneasy. Kaela had not only spoken, she had defied the council openly. The council debated secretly, their words sharp, their logic cold. But they could not ignore Ethan. Humans were unpredictable. They acted with emotion, courage, and loyalty in ways the council could not measure. Ethan returned to Kaela that night. He explained his plan quietly. He would not fight with weapons. He would not challenge them in violence. He would fight with human determination. With choices, courage, and cleverness. Kaela listened, understanding that their defiance alone was more powerful than any weapon. Days passed and tension grew. The council sent enforcers to monitor them. Aliens with metal arms and sharp senses waited for a single mistake, but Ethan and Kaela never made one. They moved carefully but with quiet confidence. Ethan began teaching Kaela human tactics. Simple things: how to read behavior, how to anticipate reactions, how to use intelligence instead of brute force. She learned quickly, faster than the council expected. She became a human ally in spirit, her mind sharp, her will unbreakable. The council, desperate, tried to separate them. They suggested a new rule, a dangerous experiment. If Kaela is moved to isolation, she will obey. She will no longer influence you. They assumed Ethan would leave. They assumed he could not act alone, but Ethan acted in a way they did not expect. He spoke openly to the entire chamber. He told them human stories, stories of survival on Earth, of humans who faced impossible odds, of humans who refused to abandon their own. The chamber went silent. No alien had ever heard emotion used as power. Kaela added her voice. "I will not obey fear. I will not allow control. If you harm him, you harm me." The council realized for the first time that humans and those who trust them could not be forced. They could be clever, relentless, and united. Rumors of human courage spread through the station. Other aliens began to observe Ethan and Kaela secretly. They whispered among themselves. Humans were dangerous, not because of weapons, but because of heart, loyalty, and mind. Then the council made a final move. They threatened exile, permanent removal from the station. They even hinted at execution. The station trembled with tension. Every alien waited for Ethan to fail. Ethan walked forward slowly. He looked Kaela in the eyes, then he turned to the council. "I will not leave her," he said. "You cannot force humans to abandon people they care about. And we will not fail." The council was shaken. The first sister's smile faded. Kaela's fire burned brighter. She had learned something humans knew long ago. Strength was not measured by rules, it was measured by heart. Choice and courage. That night, as the station slept under the cold lights, Kaela and Ethan prepared for what was coming. They knew the council would act again. But they were ready. Together, humans were not meant to obey. Humans were not meant to follow. Humans were meant to change the rules. And Kaela understood this better than anyone. She had found not just a protector, but a partner who believed in her. Not because she was weak, but because she was worthy. The suspense hung over the station like a storm. Every corner could hide danger, every shadow could hide betrayal. But Ethan and Kaela faced it together, and the aliens realized. For the first time, humans were not afraid. Humans could not be controlled. Humans could win with courage and heart. The station was quieter than usual. Even the smallest traders seemed to sense that something big was coming. Every corner, every hallway held tension. And the council knew that Ethan and Kaela had become more than a problem. They had become a symbol. Ethan and Kaela sat together in the cargo bay. She had moved swiftly with her modified exo-tools, not walking but moving freely. Her eyes burned with intelligence and courage. She looked at Ethan, and for the first time, she smiled, not a forced smile, not one born from fear, but one born from understanding and hope. "The council will act soon," Ethan said quietly. "They will try to force us apart. They will try to punish us for what we have done." Kaela nodded. "I am ready," she whispered. "I will not hide. I will not obey fear. I will face them, even if it costs me everything." The next day, the council summoned them to the central chamber. The hall was larger than anything Ethan had ever seen. Tall pillars stretched upward, disappearing into shadows. The council sat above them like gods, their eyes cold, calculating. Every member watched for a sign of weakness. The first sister stepped forward. Her expression polite, but her eyes betrayed worry. She had never expected Ethan to survive so long, or Kaela to grow so strong. The council spoke in unison. "You have defied us, human. You have corrupted the mind of our people. You have taught weakness to the strong. If you continue, you will face exile or death." Ethan stepped forward calmly. He did not raise his voice. He did not plead. He only spoke the truth. Humans are not weak. We are dangerous because we care. We survive because we fight for each other. And once we choose someone, we do not abandon them. A murmur ran through the chamber. Even the council members could not hide their surprise. No human had ever spoken with such confidence, such clarity, such force. Kaela moved beside him. Her chair gliding smoothly across the floor, she faced the council directly. Her voice was steady, her words sharp. "I am not your property. I am not weak, I am not afraid." The council froze. They had thought fear would control her, but they had underestimated human influence. Ethan and Kaela's defiance spread through the station. Other aliens began to whisper quietly. Some began to question their own rules. Some began to admire the human courage. The council felt its authority cracking. The very system they had built on control was failing. Then Ethan did something unexpected. He did not fight physically. He did not attack. He used human logic, empathy, and courage. He began speaking of trust, freedom, and choice. He told stories of humans who had survived impossible odds. Stories of humans who had refused to surrender. Stories of humans who had changed entire worlds. The council had no answer. They realized that humans were unlike any other species. Not in strength, not in weapons, but in heart, mind, and courage. They could not predict humans. They could not control humans. And they could not ignore humans, Kaela added. We will not leave. We will not obey fear if you try to punish us. You punish yourselves? Because humans do not act alone, we act together. And we fight for those we care about. A long silence followed. The council debated. They whispered urgently, their calculations, their logic. Their cold strategies all failed. They could not imagine how to contain such human defiance. They could not punish without creating chaos. They had lost not by force but by the simple power of human heart. Finally, the council made a decision. They would step back, not because they wanted to, but because they could not fight the force of human will. Ethan and Kaela were free, not because of rules, but because courage and loyalty had no equal. The station slowly returned to normal, but whispers about the human and the sister without legs spread across the galaxy. Other species began to see humans differently. Not as reckless, not as emotional, but as a species capable of courage, loyalty, and change. Kaela looked at Ethan, her eyes shining. You stayed, even when it was dangerous, she said. Ethan smiled. I did not stay because it was safe. I stayed because you are worth it. The first sister approached quietly. She nodded at Ethan, not with approval, but with respect. Even she understood that humans had done something no alien had ever done. They had changed the rules, they had challenged authority, and they had survived. Weeks later, the station was different. Aliens who had once followed rules blindly began questioning them. Others began studying human ways, trying to understand why humans were so dangerous. Not with weapons, but with loyalty, courage, and heart. Ethan and Kaela left the central chamber together. Not as master and servant, not as weak and strong, but as equals, partners, allies. They had chosen each other freely. And that choice was more powerful than any council, any law, any weapon. The galaxy itself seemed to notice. Humans were no longer a footnote in alien history, they were a force. A species that could challenge the impossible, and anyone who underestimated them would pay.